Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our quarterly execution review. This time we're doing it on strategic planning, so we're going to get over, talk about some of your internal performance measures, and then also look at the initiatives across the board for all the public safety components or departments related to getting the objectives done and then the commissioner's goals accomplished. We're getting close. It's August of 2025, so this strategic plan actually ends in December of 2026. So we're getting toward the finish line. We have a lot to keep working on. I know we've accomplished quite a bit, but it'll be a pretty exciting year, I think, to kind of wrap up some of the initiatives that we have. Chairman, Vice Chairman, anything you'd like to add before we get started? No. All right, so let's start with Chief.
Sir, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, good. For public safety, we're going to start today with Director Lanza for EMA. Then we're going to head over to Animal Services with Director Lori Austin, and we'll go to Fire with Chief Finney, and then I'll close with Police.
Okay, and so as we go through that, I appreciate it, Scott. So as we go through this, like we talked about, really where we start, I think is going to be performance measures, correct? And that's a lot of the early discussion. And then I really want to focus on those initiatives, though, since we only have about a little over a year left to get those done. And I want to make sure that the ones that we have completed, we're able to gray out and move on. But the other ones, particularly the ones that might be yellow or red, where we have to address and do what we can to help you get through those initiatives, are the ones we're going to talk about. So, Andy, you want to start with what you have as far as performance measures?
Okay, so we have our community information hubs throughout Lynn County to provide information before, during, and after emergency events as a way to share disaster-related information as well as general community information. Right, so we have on track for that. As soon as we get the letter of intent for Bucky's, that'll be another place that we're going to have for places that we're going to call community information hubs. So we've started the disaster faith-based network, which is, you might see a great number be added to this as we decide to potentially modify this, because all the churches that are signed up, we have over 30 members now that are participating, so we might actually expand this through them as well. So I actually think that we might want to consider modifying that once that's fully online. So that next meeting is scheduled already, and I think we could potentially jump this up to at least 15.
Will you explain a little bit what an information hub is?
So
what happens there?
So typically, during a disaster, we would hope that the power wouldn't go out, the internet and cell phones. But as we saw last year, that's unfortunately what's going to happen with a tropical type system. So what we're doing is partnering with community members and businesses to share this information. Sometimes it's as rudimentary as putting out an actual board at each facility that provides information as far as what's going on with sheltering, what's going on with updates, what's going on, where a point of distribution might be located, a pod, as you've heard of, where families can go to get food, water, that sort of thing. So we expect this one in the next 2 months to potentially need to be modified, because that is going to really excel this program.
What are the two? We have two right now.
Wawa and I know we just did the event with Lowe's, and so Bucky's are the partners, but we're just waiting for our letter on that one. And Lowe's is going to need to be another one that's on there that we're waiting on. So
Make sure it's
real quick, Bucky's is the one that they told us no matter what they hit, if they're hit with a category 3, they'll be up and running.
Really?
Yeah, they have enough gas there to run their facility for about a week, he said. And he said the last time they had a storm, I forget the state, he said that's where all law enforcement and all public safety actually went, and they could fuel up. And so I think that's going to be a great asset for Glenn County, having Bucky's right here.
How high are they? Are they higher?
yeah, they're good. And the reason, like I said, I've been hesitant to change this one too much is because the clarification on whether we needed an MOU or a letter of intent for this, and we decided on a letter of intent for these purposes, for these places.
I'm just trying to visualize. So are we going to staff these? We're going to have some of our CERT volunteers, or
They'll have, for the faith base, they have their own staff, and we do have CERT available, but they're primarily going to be in sheltering, but we'll have them available to the site if needed.
so what information are we? So what information are they going to get there? It's going to be a place where power's on and they can.
Yeah, like
or
so.
Are we sharing things from the EOC?
If we needed to share information from the EOC, like if we had widespread communications outage for an extended period of time, we would utilize these sites to share that information on where they can get resources made available. So
I'm just curious as to how we do that, though. So they're going to have their own things that they're going to be doing at these sites, and so do we send people from we send officers out there? Do we send staff out there?
So the Disaster Faith-Based Network, so I have a paper coming on that, a description of what that is, but they're actually kind of volunteering with us. So at their sites, they'll man it themselves. At the other ones, we could deploy volunteers if needed.
Okay. I just want to make sure that people go there, that they know what to expect when they get there.
Yeah, there's not necessarily a resource per se at that place, but it will have the information on where they can obtain the information, where they can obtain the information, and where can they go to get this, where are we at on the FEMA reimbursements and disaster assistance and Red Cross sheltering. So.
Questions? Okay.
All right, so our speaking engagements, that's been going. It says conduct a minimum of 30 community engagement activities annually, and again, this is one that we're looking to potentially modify. We've hit this one already, but like I said, the expansion of what we're doing, getting into the faith base and getting into businesses is somewhere where we're looking this next year. So even tonight, we're doing an event with Commissioner Sweat, doing the weather radio giveaway. That's like one of the type of events that we're manning. Something that was new was the Prepare-a-thon at Lowe's this year, that partnership that we had with them for this year. And we're actually utilizing a lot of volunteers in this. So look to this to expand again potentially next year. I would dare say that we might have a subcategory of how many businesses we hit, how many special events, and how many industry. We did our first industry exercise, or industry tabletop this year too. We partnered with the city of Brunswick for that one. So. It's great that we're really out there. We're not shotgunning these engagements. It's not just when people ask us. Now we're targeting in the specific types. So the Faith Network, like I said, community information hubs. We have a whole series of meetings for those as well. So
just want to make sure you're hitting the all the different demographics out there. So I know you got Goodyear MPA tonight. Are you going to be speaking there, or just with the issue of the radio?
Tonight's the radios, yeah. So it's having the city EMA that does break up some of the emergency management like events. So the city does get some of the ones that we were traditionally doing. So that's kind of been a big benefit. So where city EMA might be represented in some of these local MPAs, we're able to go out in other places. So
yeah, you definitely get the message out there. I know you guys are active and busy. So
yeah.
I appreciate that. All right.
Can I add on that one?
Please,
Eddie. He showed up at the Golden Isles Women's Republican Club and did about a 40-minute.
Yeah.
And they were very impressed, and I was proud. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thanks, yeah. No, we enjoy that. So we just, like I said, we like to have those. We like to have them, in all parts of the county, but the city EMA coming online, we speak the same messages. We just kind of talk about that. So if they pick up some, that allows us to get into these businesses as well. We partner together with the GP one. So very, very cool to be able to work with them. So this right here is our implement and evaluate 4 multi-agency exercises annually. So the last one that we had was the HERX, the responder HERX, the long-term care facility HERX, the airport tabletop, and a evacuation exercise. And then we just had the one with GP as well, which you could count that or not count it. That was an internal process exercise, but we're going to potentially, like I said, modify that as well. The good thing is we have several plans that we're being slated to be written right now. Everything ranging from a mass fatality plan to animals in disaster. And all those are going to include exercises, so we could have up to 10 exercises next year. So that's very, very exciting. With every plan that we write, we make sure we exercise it before we finalize.
All right, and we take care of, we take advantage of some of the ones that we've had. So the air show was good. I think that was good.
Great. Yeah.
Good showing. Okay.
So.
And how about participation from? Are we seeing anywhere that we need to reach out to try and get additional participation? Or are we full community? Everybody jumps on board.
So, with our 3-staff model, we're able to have a training and exercise coordinator, one of the primary roles for the specialist position, and we're having to put together a multi-year training and exercise team because so many people want exercises. So it's a good problem to have. That the chief is both chiefs actually have assigned staff to help us put together these exercises, and as well as Public Works, you'll have a play in that as well too, with Sean and his staff. So we're really making sure that we not just cover your traditional law enforcement, fire elements in these exercises. We're including Public Works as well.
One thing we could add, Andy, is that especially after what happened in some of the shootings we've seen, is to do a multi-agency training with FLETC to better prepare ourselves if something like that was to tragically happen around here. And we're in discussions with that. I know Chief and you'll probably talk about it, but I just want to add that to it as well.
Yeah, so part of that, us involvement as far as the plan, we made sure we included that with our funding that we have for these plans to have a mass fatality. We hate to call it like that. It is what it is. It's a mass fatality plan, but we are currently working on that with the exercise as well.
Yeah, I know FLETC did one. They got some money from FEMA from I think it was LSU. They had an exercise that we took part of. I think it was almost 3 years ago. Anything that, and they can probably host some more too. So if we reach out to them, they can probably give us put some resources towards doing as well.
Well, I will say too. Also, the police department is partnered with us. They lead the active shooter training that we do with all the CERT volunteers go through that as well, and we working with of course the fire department on their CPR and stop the bleed, stop the tourniqueting for that. So we're doing our part to coordinate with them. So this one is just a wonderful thing. That one of my favorite programs conduct 3 community emergency response team training courses to address the imperative need for enhancing community resilience. So CERT team, those are the people you see running around with the green vest. There's a picture there of some of the training when we did it at the City of Brunswick training headquarters there. They're doing the PASS method, putting out the fire there. I think you have another picture. That's one where they were looking at incident command training, reporting to their team lead during our simulation right there. And I'm sure y'all have all noticed these volunteers at the events that we've had here recently. We had, of course, 4th of July, the air show, and they're going to be at Frat Beach. And not to mention at the shelters and pooling and charging stations. So starting to deploy them. We've got a new partner, a gentleman from FLETC, who's come on. He's a volunteer. He's volunteering this time. He's put together a yearly training plan for all of our meetings. Mr. Mosley, I don't know if you know that name, but he's come on. He's taken the training, and he's going to take the lead with Marcy on ensuring that we continue the training.
Great.
So, in the 3rd class, it's graduating Thursday.
So what's the expectation though? So these people, when we do have events. To be honest with you, I don't recall seeing them too much last year, and during some we did have 1 or 2 classes anyway that were under our belt. But as far as when we do have hurricanes, I'm talking hurricanes specifically. So what's the expectation of them being deployed or used?
So dual role. Okay, so in a disaster event and a catastrophe are 2 different things. So we can define a typical disaster like what we've had. You'll actually see them out manning these shelters, managing the cooling and charging stations, community information hubs, disaster recovery center that FEMA might man that might help with the long-term care facility population. And now they are recognized in our incident command chart as their own branch. So you'll actually have they're listed, so you typically have just seen them in the room. So we've actually formalized an operational component of them so they can be tasked by all agencies. Now during a catastrophe, let's just be honest, we don't know whose home's going to be affected, right?
Right.
But so having the numbers that we have of around 200 folks now, and really having this continuous training that we have scheduled. I don't know if you noticed, but we're having. If you look on our Facebook, where there's almost 2 times a month, we're having some type of training. But now we're going to have monthly training sessions where they refine their skills. So that being said, for a catastrophe, a lot of times they're community liaisons to other incoming agencies. So when, like, let's just say the chainsaw teams come in, the Team Rubicons, the Baptist cooking folks that come in, we can assign these people to them to get them to the right places, the right neighborhoods, and then also damage assessment as well.
All right.
So,
What are the,
Honestly, with catastrophe, we won't be using volunteers. They'll be evacuated with everyone else.
yeah,
For the most part.
but I was thinking, yeah, shelter. I mean, we always need people for
Right.
shelters, that type of thing. Okay.
yeah, so we're now at the point now where we're putting them in code red. So if we know to activate those, whoever can stay, we've identified certain people, like the chief said. The majority of them aren't going to be able to help, but the ones that will be assigned these key liaison roles for these other incoming agencies, but yeah, mainly sheltering.
So what do they have for equipment? What do we typically give them? I know they get the backpacks. But.
So yeah, right now it's backpack, and any updates that we give to the like eye protection, we just changed eye protection. We make sure that we go back and we can update everybody's kit. So CERT is the feeder into what we call registered volunteer. Our registered volunteers have all the background checks. They're considered what they call a trusted agent. They've had a background check. They've been cleared by Glenn County. They abide by our technology policy, discrimination policy, and so on that legal has set forth. And those folks are the ones that we really depend on, that we know are going to be available. But again, you're talking about 10% in a catastrophe at max will actually realistically be available, because the other ones could potentially be affected. So in Columbia County, my previous experience, we had 700 people that went through the program. We had 70 that we could count on every single time. But I do think that we have a better chance because of the type of disasters and how prone we are to these hurricane impacts, that we'll have a greater engagement in an actual disaster.
All right.
All right, so this one here, create and revise emergency management plans to synchronize with distinctive needs and characteristics of Glenn County, emphasizing the goal for safeguarding individuals from potential hazards that could impact our region. This one's listed as 100%, so we're on target now for this one. We have our base set of plans, and now we can look to potentially modify this one moving forward with the new with the money from the RFP. But we had a master set of plans that we decided from the beginning that we needed. I shared with the chief, and we made sure with the DAC money coming in, direct administrative costs from FEMA, that we hit all those plans that we could think of that we possibly need, and we've now have that list. And like I said, the great way about how Monica worked with us to fund this is it included an exercise with it as well. So that's why I'm saying that potentially up the exercises next year, and then potentially change this one, because we now have our list complete. It's just about applying the updates as we go through this planning.
All right. I think so as far as the plans go, so now we're pretty much covered for reimbursements, grants, that type of thing.
So we want to stay on top of it. So this initial goal was making sure that we meet the disaster match requirements from GEMA.
Good.
So to get that extra 2.5%, but Chief and I have talked about it. We're far exceeding that, and like I said, we had this green list of all the plans that this community needs. We worked with Monica to make sure that we could get that and address some of these things like the active shooter and all that. Make sure that we include training, and now we're potentially changing the metric on this. I mean, we're going to have a nice, robust plan library. We can work on individual SOPs and work with our partners on other things. So we really want to refine the IMT next. Is what we're going to work towards.
All right, so, Commissioners, anything you recommend? Those are the performance measures. And just going back, so I asked each department just to have at least a minimum of 3 performance measures. One that kind of, just a suggestion. So one that kind of told the story of what they did. One would be kind of an area where it's kind of their main, good news story that they want to get out, but then also at least one that's going to stretch them to get to where they need to be. So I think that was probably yours, Andy, on the plans for sure. I'm glad to see you're there.
Yeah, and then, like I said, working with Monica and Chief on that has been one of the greatest dreams that an emergency manager could have, to have these resources available to us, and I want to commend Monica and Chief on their work with us on these. So.
That's absolutely correct. Just having those plans in place and having that line meeting the FEMA and GMA requirements are huge. Right?
Thank you and your team.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Good, thank you. Nice job.
So when we go through the initiatives, they'll all come back up. Okay. All right. So don't go far, Andy.
All right.
I told him he could leave. I guess I was a liar. It's only right there.
All right, Lori.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so first one here is reduce the number of intakes to help homeless animals. These numbers kind of varied for us. We're on track to hit the goal of the 1.4, but if you scroll down, I compare the numbers for each year, and they're down this year from what they have been in previous years. There's some months where they may be more. And we're staying full, so I don't know that we're necessarily reducing the number of intakes, but we seem to be getting less puppies, less kittens, so less litters of animals, and probably a big part due to rescues. We actually had 9 puppies that was pulled from us this morning, so it's on track right now for us to have less animals come in, but we are staying full just like we were last year.
Well, I think that, when we talk about this as a goal, or a performance measure, that's a tough one because a lot of it's internal. But what can we do? What can you do on our side to be able to make that number happen? So, is there additional education for the community? Is there, we talked about maybe, and we'll probably have another work session maybe to talk about some of the ordinance changes that we have been discussing anyway, right? With spay, neuter, and some of the other measures.
It's going to boil down to getting more animals microchipped so that they could be returned to the owners instead of coming into the facility, and getting animals spayed and neutered. So we're not getting litters of puppies. We're not getting, people that get too many animals, can't take care of them and move and leave them or dump them out. So, I'm a proponent of the possibly eventually getting a licensing that would require spay and neuters or microchipping, or will be fee-based on that to give an incentive for people to get their animals spayed and neutered and microchipped, and I think that would be a big help in this. But the new ordinances that we have discussed would be a good step in that direction to get that started.
And how about the city? The city, do they have anything within their ordinances, or they be coming along with us if we?
It would be coming along with us because the MOU says theirs would mirror ours. So if we change ours, then it would be to ask them to also update theirs.
All right, because I know a good part of your work actually is related to the city, and we'll talk about that afterwards. But so just on that note, I know we've discussed it a couple of times, commissioners, but I'm not sure where are we. Have we put a draft together, or do we? Should we start working on one that we have? Because I thought we had talked about it, and I'm just not sure where we left it.
For the ordinances?
Yeah.
Yes, they have been forwarded. They were forwarded to the county attorney's office around 2 months ago.
Okay.
Around that time for them to review.
All right.
We'll follow up with them.
As I understand, Jason was doing the review.
Oh, good. Okay. And so, Danny, just make sure that's, I guess, included when we have our meetings related to the zoning draft. I think that'd be a good time to maybe introduce those if we could. Good. All right.
Increase the number of transfers out of the facility. We, month-to-month comparison, we're probably less transfers out to other rescues and stuff than we were last year. We are on track to hit the goal, but we tend to make up in some areas when we lack in others. So like last year, we had a lot of transfers out, but not very many fosters. And as you'll see on another one of these, this year we have a lot more fosters, but not as many transfers to the rescues. And the main thing, this is because all the rescues are full. The rescues that normally help us out, like I reached out to one of them last week, and she was like, I just can't take any animals right now. She was completely full. So it's not just a problem we're having; it's everywhere. It's pretty much having an overcrowded issue. So
Where are some of the rescues that we actually? I know you go all over, right?
So, like the one last week, it was a dog that came in with skin issues. Most of those, or a lot of those, go to rescue in Brantley County. She does well with animals with skin issues, but she was completely full. And we actually did end up getting, it went to Savannah to, it's called GER, GRRR Rescue, Georgia Rehab and Rehabilitation Rescue. But anyway, so it did go to a rescue eventually, but it didn't go to one that normally pulls from us. No Kill actually reached out to the rescue in Savannah, and they ended up they pull medical cases as well. That's pretty much all they deal with, and they pulled three dogs from us.
So you said fosters are actually doing more?
Yes, and that's one of the categories on here.
Okay. Well, we can save it to talk to it then.
Well, our mobile, the next one, it was down until March with the generator issues. So I think we have the number of one in January, but those we drove the mobile to PetSmart, and then we unloaded them and went into the store and done an adoption bin inside. And then due to staffing issues, a couple months after that was way down. It has been way down. We are now up to staffing, and as I talked to you about last week, we have a lot of mobile adoptions and events planned for the next couple of months, so hopefully we'll get this number back up to where it needs to be.
Yeah, I saw the advertisement they put together, all the different events that you guys are having. So how do we do as far as marketing those, getting those out there? Do you do it, and we emphasize it with our posts?
So we put them on Facebook. We use Facebook for most of our stuff. Some of these events are through our volunteer group. Some of them are through different businesses. Like one of the apartment complexes is having a carnival that we'll be at. Some of them are First Friday. So those events a lot of times are advertised with them as well as us. We'll advertise that we're going to be there, and then they advertise the event on their sites as well.
Okay, so right now, what do we do about this? So we're the goal is 80 for the year.
Yes, and hopefully by then we'll.
Like pick up, is it like
As you
seasonal?
can see, I have the list here of all our upcoming events. So normally during the summertime we have a lot of events, but staffing we just we had the minimum amount there on weekends. We didn't have employees that we could spare to go work events, so it was a struggle just having the minimum there on weekends. So we'll get this up now that we have the staffing up, so we can spare employees. We have the fair coming up, we have the rodeo, all those are usually coming around the fall time, as well as drool at the pool, so we'll have and the cooler weather makes things a lot easier as well, because, in the summertime, even if the air conditioner is working, a lot of times it gets warm in there for the animals, so now that the weather will be hopefully cooling down, we can get more events in.
Do you ever do First Friday?
We do it usually, most months we do. We did not do it this past one because we had another event already scheduled over on CPOM, so touch the truck event. But we are usually at First Friday.
Or are you always in that one location, or do you move around?
We stay usually at that one location. They invited us to park there, so that's where we park ever since. And it's easy to get in and out right there you got the grassy area right across the street where we need to walk the dogs and things like that. So it's just convenient.
I was just thinking if there was a way for us to maybe move it around occasionally, get a little bit more visibility, because that site's good, but it's not down in the main area, and a lot of people don't even go that direction.
And the problem is, the further down you get, the less grass and
Yeah, I'm
area.
trying to think, maybe by the library, or maybe on the other end, by City Hall, the old City Hall, or just moving around a little bit. Maybe we'll get some more interest. I don't know, just a thought. But okay, you got a lot of events coming up, so we'll keep an eye on this one.
Calls and complaints, we have, and you can scroll down to kind of see from last year, but the last year to this year, we have a lot more calls and complaints this year than we did in the same time period last year. I think right now we're at over 100 more calls than the same time period for last year. As far as to get the number down, I'm not sure. So we have been telling people to call more often. We don't want to get the number down by deterring people to call for us if they need us. So, if they say they have a problem, we tell them to call. If we don't know about it, we can't handle it. We hoped as far as bringing it down would be, doing the neighborhood patrols and things like that. But then when staffing was shorter, we had less officers on the road a lot of days. So just a series of events here lately. Now that staffing's back up, we've got another field officer being trained right now, so we can try to do more neighborhood patrols that may help bring the number down. But like I said, I have been putting out there, telling people, call us, because we get people that complain that my neighbor's dog's always running loose and animal control don't do anything about it, but then they haven't called us about it. So we've been trying to put out there, if you've got an issue, call us. If we don't know about it, we can't fix the problem.
Trying to think if there's a better way. I don't know if this is a great measure.
Yeah.
It's just number of calls. So do you do any kind of tracking on outcomes? So you get a call and then your response and then what the final outcome is? Is there something we can maybe take a look at that kind of better measures our response is really what this is?
Well, for the year, I track the return to owners, but it's not one we created a measure for. And we have, in the past few years, we have done better at, getting animals that return to owner because of the microchipping mainly. So that might be a good one to replace this with.
Yeah. What do you think, Michael? We can maybe change this one. Yeah, because this one just really, I don't know what it tells. Workload's up, but there's
when I was going
complaints.
over these, I'm thinking, I don't know that this is a good one to actually reduce because we do want to put out there to people, if they've got an issue, call us so we can handle it. Yeah. And as long as we're promoting for them to call us, it's probably going to make the number go up instead of down. So.
Do you track where the calls come from, or just?
Yes, if you look at that top one there, 102 in the county, 44 in the city, and 6 unknown. A lot of the unknowns may be, we do get a few of our bite cases come from Jake or St. Simon's, travelers. So when they go back to wherever they live, the owner of that dog, environmental health transfers the cases there. So if somebody calls us for something, it may show up as an unknown. If they call us to follow up on the status of the quarantine for the animal or things like that, then that's where the unknown usually is. It's people that are calling from somewhere else, either like right now we've got a dog that was picked up as a stray. The owner lives 5.5 hours away now. She left it, with a friend here or what have you. So those type calls come up as unknown because they are out of the county.
Okay.
But those are tracked for each one.
All right. It looks pretty consistent too. About 40% of the calls are city versus county, right?
Yeah, 40 to 50%. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Spays and neuters. We're doing pretty good considering that we still don't have a full-time vet. Earlier in the year, the summer months the numbers went down, but we did enough in earlier months that we are on target, where we should be with that. So We hope to keep that up. Right now, with the last couple of months, you know, we haven't had as many. Local vets are all booked up. It's summertime. Animals are reproducing. You know, people are hopefully getting personal pets or getting strays, live in their yard fixed. And it's hard to get in, for us to get in when the vets are booked up. So as soon as the weather cools down, hopefully the local vets will be less busy and we can get more into them. But we are on track right now for where we should be.
Right.
Numbers of volunteers, we are continuing to do great on that. The volunteer group has usually once every month, sometimes every other month, they have the volunteer events out at the shelter. So it gets new people in the door. Some of them come back every day. Some of them don't. But it gets them in the door. It gets the animals seen. We enter them into our system. So if we did need to call out for volunteers, we've got information for them. So yeah, that's going great.
258, good.
Yes, we're already over the goal that was set of 200. We're already over that now. So. Adoptions are down. I think they're down less. They were down last year, and I think they're down less this year so far than they were last year. But as you know, we're putting pleas out every month saying, you know, a lot of the citizens have already adopted a dog, you know. We have in the past held mobile adoption events. Last year we did some, like in Camden at PetSense. But because our mobile adoption's been down this year, that's probably another reason why the actual adoption numbers are down. Once we, you know, get those moving again, hopefully we'll get the adoptions up.
Is that just dogs?
No, that's dogs and cats.
Dogs and cats, okay. Still 344. To me, it seems like a big number. Our goal is 661.
Yes. If you look at the comments on each month, so like July this year, 58 adoptions, but we had 45 in July of last year. So for that month, we're up 13. But the month before that was down 6. You know, so it goes back and forth.
Michael, this would be a good one to put in a different chart, so it shows year by year.
And I do that for the year, but when I plug the monthly numbers, the one I use doesn't chart it until the whole year's in, so I didn't print it out for this meeting. But when we do the end of the year QER, I have an Excel that I have them charted on.
Is there anything else to learn from it? Are there any peak months or tough months, or is it pretty much consistent year round?
It's hard to say with these. I know around the fall time we do, like the rodeo and the fair, we get the dogs seen a lot more, and they seem to pick up then. Around the summer, a lot of people are going on vacation, so they seem like they go down then. But it's hard to say. I could tell you one thing, and it proved me wrong next month. But you know, so.
All right.
This is our fosters. So as you see, we're already almost maxed out on the goal here. In July, just this past July, we were up 29 from what we had in July of last year, animals that were in foster. 40 for June, 49 this year, and only 14 animals in foster last year. So we're getting animals out in foster, and that's a good thing because a lot of them end up being foster fails and adopting. I talked to actually one today right before I come that he's fostering and said he's probably going to come in and adopt Friday. So,
great.
So yes, a lot of these end up getting adopted out. If they don't get adopted out to the foster, a lot of our fosters are taking them out to events, to volunteer group events, different things, getting them seen. And a lot of times they will actually foster them until they get adopted. So it keeps them from tying up a kennel in the shelter.
That's pretty admirable. That's good. We have that many fosters out there. That's great. All right, who's next, Chief? Byron? Thanks, Lori. We'll see you in a minute, though.
All right, Chief. Hot seat time for you.
Yes, sir.
Literally.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir.
Oh,
Very colorful.
bonjour.
Buongiorno. Thank you, sir. So our fire rescues report will begin with fiscal year 25, third and fourth quarter, January 1 to June 30 of 2025. We are seeing an increase about 3% in call volume over the previous year. So our total incidents as of June 30th were 9,551. This morning, we were at 11,800 already. So July was 8% busier than the average of the first 6 months of the year. He just mentioned, is there a season? Fire rescue doesn't have a season. We're maintaining right around 1,600 calls a month year over year, and that equates out to a daily average of 52. As this pie chart shows, the majority of our calls are still in that 300 series at rescue and EMS, which also includes vehicle accidents in there, so I want everyone to be aware of that. So we can go to performance measures now, please. All right, so we'll start off with EMS. And this first performance measure is the percent of patients with a cardiac complaint receiving ECG monitoring. And what this is a measurement of is our responders, our EMS providers, being able to recognize the primary complaint or secondary complaint with the patient they're at, and then following protocol to ensure they're getting the right interventions, the right monitoring to guide their treatment prior to hospital arrival. And as you can see, we want to be at 100% on this, but 99.2 is pretty good, and we're probably missing the 0.8% because of documentation issues. So that was 3,700 out of 3,729 cardiac complaint patients received the right monitoring.
What does monitoring mean? Is that the AED pads get put on, or just?
So the EKG, so a 12 lead, a 4 lead to get a good view of the heart. We did include whether if they were doing a cardioversion or an AED, because that is a form of monitoring. So we included all cardiac complaints in that.
Okay, good. And these are not necessarily just from the ambulances, right? So some of these are trucks that respond and.
Oh, absolutely. It's the patient care report takes the input from all providers there. So if the fire truck arrived first for one of those incidents and they started this process, it would be documented in there.
Yeah, so that's great. I mean, having the EMS capability on the truck is yeah, good. Okay.
Right, so again, another EMS performance measure. This is the percent of patients who experienced a cardiac arrest and then obtained return of spontaneous circulation. So we got a pulse back prior to emergency room arrival. Various national studies are anywhere from 6.6 to 23.8% of the patients in cardiac arrest will get a pulse back prior to ER arrival. So we're at 19.2%. I was going back reviewing when we first started the QERs, so at one point we were almost at 35%. This measure is really determined or relies on the patient's medical history. When was it discovered that the patient went into cardiac arrest, and did they have early access to CPR and AED application, and then the amount of time it took for the ambulance and or fire truck to arrive on scene to start care. So a lot of factors tie in to one of these calls.
Yeah. Okay, but still, even so, with that stat, we're toward the higher end.
We're toward the higher end of the national studies.
Yeah. It's hard to get a standard around that, like you said, just because there's way too many variables.
I mean, we want it to be 100%, but there's a lot of factors playing into that one.
Right.
Right, this performance measures on the fire side is the percent of structure fires where the flame spread was confined to the object or the room of origin. And again, a lot of our performance measures are dependent on notification. A fire starts, a little fire starts in a bin or a trash can or on the stove, and it's really determined on when 911 is called and the fire department is notified for our response to begin. And we'll tie in response time performance measures at the end of this. So during the 6 months, we had 53 building fires, of which 18 were confined to the object or the room of origin. We'd love to see it at 50% and higher, but again, this is determine on our notification where the fire is in the community based on where our units are and what units are available to arrive there in a timely manner.
Okay.
So it's one of those yellow ones where we want to improve on, but we will continue to work.
But again, there's some external factors that are
Yes,
there.
sir.
It's a hard one for us to
Yes, sir.
control.
Right, so on the fire prevention side, the percent of fire code violations that are addressed within 1 day of receiving notification, we had 25 complaints over the 6 months, and they were all addressed within 1 day. It's something that Chief Richardson and his team know that I want us to really focus on is when the community calls and says, hey, we have an overcrowding issue in the aisles of this store, that we're out there having that occupant clean those aisles up to make it as safe as possible for our community.
Good.
All right, again, with public education on the fire prevention side, the number of fire safety education presentations completed for the first and second grade classes within the county, and our focus is always there at that first, second grade, because we want to teach them when they're young about fire safety, and we see the collateral effects of when they go home after these presentations. They then want to educate their own family about how to be safe with fire safety. Don't play with matches. We need to have a meeting place, mom and dad. And so we see how it just expands out from them going back to their family. So for the first 6 months, we completed 4 of those. But our big month for this is October, where we hit all the schools at the same time. In fact, this program is part of the elementary school's curriculum at that grade. So we'll see that improve on the next one. Okay, so this is our response time performance measures, and this is the one that I, as the fire chief, I'm most proud of, because when we had our standards cover done in 24, they used the historical data, and we weren't very good. We didn't show very good performance in these, and it didn't take much coaching and mentoring and guidance to get the people out of the streets to perform how we need them to perform. So this one is the percent of all incident types where turnout time is 90 seconds or less for all incidents in the daytime, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And what we want is for 75% of the calls to be at 90 seconds or greater, and we're at 81.6% of the calls. Our average is, can you go back to where my notes are? 63 seconds is our average, okay, which is good, but we don't want to be average. We want to move towards the 90th percentile of performance. So that's our goal, is to keep it above 75% or higher.
Any idea? All right. So where were we before you started this?
So the historical data was we were in 50%.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is perfect. This is exactly the type of performance measure that we want to have. Obviously, it's public safety.
Yes.
And then you also said they're kind of competing with each other too.
Right. It creates a competition within the companies. Yes.
All right. I was out in Sterling last week, and call came in, and I couldn't even. They were gone before I even got to my car.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Yeah, really good.
Well, that's because you were there.
Yeah.
No, we've really focused on this. When the tones drop, move with a purpose to your vehicle, and let's get out there and start a response, regardless of what the call is.
Yeah. They jumped in and they were gone. Okay, good.
Okay, so this is that same performance measure just for nighttime, so from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And we're right at 75% for 120 seconds or 2 minutes. We give them an additional 30 seconds because in the middle of the night they're asleep. Mm-hmm. And those tones drop, it's a shock to the system, and we give them a little time to wake up and get to the truck, at those...
Yeah, clear the cobwebs.
Exactly. So our average was 1 minute 24 seconds, which is great, but we don't want to be average. We want that 124 to be there at the 75 and 90 percentile. So we're continuing to work on that.
So you watched that because we didn't really go back and compare what it was last time we had the QER, but something that you and your command staff are looking at.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we monitor these. In fact, there's a turnout time report that's issued every morning.
Oh, okay.
So the battalion chiefs, we can all go look and see, what was going on. Phone calls were made immediately. Is this a documentation error, or did you all not hear the tones or something?
Great.
Okay, this one's our travel time. So from the time the unit's going route until the first unit arrives. And this one's at 55.7% for all calls, 5 minutes or less. This one again has outside factors that we can't control. And it's where the stations are located, where the call is compared to where the station is. And we do have areas where there are long response times, but with I really think this is going to improve when Station 9 opens there at the corner of Flinty. Because, again, that's our busiest zone. That one area on that side of Golden Isles is responsible for half the call volume of that zone. So I see this really improving at that time.
All right, yeah, that's something to watch when it does open.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Get some data behind us and see where it goes. That's what we've been telling people. So
That's what we've been telling them. Yes, sir.
That's where the business is.
Yeah. So those are the performance measures. Now and then I'll come back up for the initiatives with Chief Edner. Any questions, Commissioners?
Come on up, Captain Sight. We're going to hit you more for the initiatives, but I'll work on the performance measures. We put together a PowerPoint to cover all our performance measures, but we could jump back if you want to look at the thing. But I thought this would make it easier.
Nope, show and tell is always good.
Yeah. So performance measure 1, 3.1 exactly. Develop and implement an annual GCPD 6-week Citizens Academy by year-end 2025. That was for the Youth Academy. If you remember correctly, in the fall last year, we did our first Adult Citizens Academy. So the Youth Academy was a very good hit. We had a lot of good feedback. The parents were excited, the kids were excited, and we had a whole department working on it, and it was outstanding.
How many kids were in that class?
We had 13. 13.
When's the plan to do it again?
Next summer. I think we're gonna move the age bracket a little bit up. 10 to 15, I thought was a little too young. That was the feedback we got. I think 13 probably to 17 would be a little more appropriate. We could get more out of them. The younger ones were great. They were interested, but it was a different kind of interest. More like show and tell with them, but they still got to learn a lot about law enforcement and public safety. And right now we're in the planning stages for our next Citizens Academy, which we want to commence again in October, so we finish before the holidays. This is Performance Measure 3.2. It was to host GCP stakeholder meetings to solicit input and feedback on GCP public safety issues and strategies. The command staff alone, we attended 9 so far this calendar year. And the next slide outlines the ones that the command staff has attended. And that's not the ones that we have, our officers attend as well. But it's been really good. We get some great feedback from everyone we go to.
What's the goal?
The goal is really to just interact with them, to let them know what we're working on, to get feedback from them of what their concerns are for their...
Do you have a number goal? How many you want to hit?
No, we haven't set a high mark. Obviously, I wanted to try and shoot for 1 month.
All right, let's, yeah, definitely. Let's
1 month is doable with everything going on, but more than that, it could be a struggle.
Yeah, try and set at least 12 for the year.
Yeah. But they've been very receptive. And Performance Measure 3.3 was to conduct biannual joint training exercises with the Glenn County Public Safety Departments, including EMA, Glenn County Fire Rescue, Animal Services, and of course the Police Department. And so far this year we did 4. So we were looking for shoot for 2, but we're already at 4, and that's a good thing to have more training. Tabletop air show was a great exercise. Active shooter tabletop at the federal courthouse was something that anybody does too. The marshals put that one together.
How was it?
It was all right. I mean, Brian could elaborate more on it. He attended the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it's very beneficial for their folks.
Was it law enforcement response or civilian?
Both.
Both, right.
And then obviously the HUREX that we were all part of, and then the last one was the INT evaluation exercise. Performance Measure 3.4. Implement a proactive recruitment and retention campaign for GCPD sworn positions to fill 90% of the available positions by the end of FY26, with an increase of 10% a year we thought was sustainable in sworn staffing. Currently we sit at 105. At the beginning of this, we were down in the low 80s. And this year we were at 92, and we've increased that to 14%, up to 105. Yeah, this year alone. So we've had 16 hires in 2025. 10 are right now are in the academy, and 6 were either EOT trained or certified officers that are working with us right now.
And how's your recruiting efforts now? Still full throttle?
They're good. We have another slide we can get to when we want to. If we want to,
That's
move
fine.
to that
We
one.
can
Yeah,
talk
we
about
can
it.
do that later. But they're going well. I mean, we break it down by month and then also by year. So far this year, and this is only in August, we had 243 applications. Last year we were around 295. So we're looking to surpass that. 181 were non-certified, 62 were certified. It's more towards the bottom. I think the numbers will reflect that. There you go. So the numbers have increased, and they're going well. But I mean, if you still look at our background process, if you scroll down a little bit more, these are the individuals that we've hired. We're hovering around 5 to 6% is the actual numbers of all that apply that we wind up hiring after the background, the testing, and everything that we go through.
Yeah, no, it really is what it is. It's a different job, and it's really appropriate based on my experience anyway to be around that percentage.
We have 26 right now that active applications we're working on. Of that, 12 are in the background phase, and like I said, 10 are currently in the academy. They'll graduate November 22nd, and they're doing well, I've been told.
All right.
So this one, this is the one we're working on. We're trying to improve this. Performance measure 3.5 is utilize technology and data management systems to implement and integrate GCPD systems to increase accountability, transparency, and internal and public messaging. We signed on to that IE Pro system. Right now we're working with IT to get that up and running. This will have a forward-facing thing for the public to look at for complaints, to make complaints, to see where we're at with complaints. And that still hasn't been implemented yet, but we're working towards it. We procured the product, but now it's the implementation phase, and it's going to be really helpful for us, both internally and for externally, to message it out for the public.
So when do you think you'll have it on?
I got to get with IT on that. I'm not sure. And Captain Haggerty's the one who's working with them, and Brandon Gregory on that.
I've never seen this before, so this is.
Yeah, it'll be helpful. It'll be helpful. We can track use of forces in it, pursuits, all our different misconducts and complaints, and we'll have a historical perspective. So you could put in an allegation, and you can see with someone who, if they violated the allegation, what the discipline has been. So there's consistency, and it takes out the subjectivity.
Yeah, I think that's good, and then we have that history. Yeah, we probably need to look at this across the board, different departments as well. Something similar.
Sure. All right, performance measure 3.6, and this one I think the county's all working on together, implementing a GCPD department website and that public portal. Intake complaints like we talked about, so it would not only be the website, but also IE Pro, we get that up and running for compliments and interactive feedback with the public, and automatic direct messaging to provide timely status updates by the end of 2025. So we possibly could hit that with the website. IE Pro, I'm not sure if we'll have it completely running up and down by the end of 2025, but we'll be close. And like I said, we're working with IT right now on both of those.
All right, this would be a good one once we get it up and running to figure out the performance measures that we want to look at too.
Exactly.
Because I think there'll be a lot of data there to kind of go through, and depending on what we want to track.
Yeah, it's important because we can track the intake complaints, compliments, and interactive feedback is important.
And then final disposition, I think, as well.
Yes. All right, performance to conduct an annual review of calls for service by patrol zones. So these are our current patrol zones. They like to call them acres, I call them zones, but I left them both there. And you can see the breakdown to the right, and that's 2024 numbers right there. I didn't get 2025 yet, but we'll break that down for the last one of the year. We'll have those.
Where's 11?
11 is, can you see it up there? It's hard to tell from here. I gotta look at my glasses. Okay. It's tough. The numbers are small. I apologize.
Exit 36 area, I think.
Yeah. course, now we've increased the, and we didn't capture that in this one because this was off the county site. We've increased another zone to incorporate from the spur 99 to 17 and 95 to capture buggies.
So what do you do with this? Is this how you staff?
This is, we staff individuals to each zone, and then supervisors, obviously, and if we have other officers, will roam. Our traffic units won't be assigned to zones, our heat units are assigned to zones unless someone is busy on call for service and they make a arrest, and we'll drop someone into that zone to make sure we have a timely coverage and response.
Is that pretty consistent over the years? I mean, is there anything that this tells you? Was there any incidents or changes that were made in any of these zones that resulted in a spike or a decrease that was substantial?
No, I haven't seen it in 2.5 years that I've been here, Brian. I mean, maybe you can talk from a historical perspective. I mean, those 3-digit numbers are the ones those are city zones, but that's on the county website, so that's all it pulls up.
Okay.
Obviously, as the county grows westward and northward, we've seen an increase in volume over the years.
Yeah, I think you're going to see that more as they build off 99 in the spur area, and then also off 29. That's further and further out, and then out 82. That we might have to increase or shorten the size of those zones to have response times that are adequate.
Is there any national standard, or is there anything staffing-wise? Is there a standard that correlates with these?
With us, no, it's difficult because of our broad demographics and the size of the county. You can compare cities to cities, but when you're comparing areas like St. Simon's Island to out on 82, it's just apples to oranges.
It is, and then the type of call as well.
Yes.
All right.
And I think we have one more. Yeah, performance measure 3.8. Now this doesn't capture all of them, but this was to conduct, listen to the commissioners' bike and neighborhood patrols to improve community relations in Glenn County quarterly. So we've been out at St. Simon's Village, the pier, the beach areas, Beverly Shores, and Fairway Oaks. On July 4th, we were pretty much out on all those places. We conducted 2 parades out there. One was on Sea Island, one was on St. Simon's Island, Pier Village, and then the beach patrol. So we've had more requests for them, and as we get more and more officers trained, and those 10 officers graduate, we'll be able to staff even more.
So the bike, so it's really around the county, so different, not just the island, for instance. Right?
No, it's not, and especially around the holidays, we'll bring them out to the different shopping centers and stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. How about the motorcycles? I know it's not one of your measures, but
Yeah, it's not one of our measures because we didn't have them yet, but they've been very successful, been out there and about. I mean, the last couple weeks have been difficult with the rain. They haven't been out much at all with the rain, so that's the only drawback. But when they're out there, they're working, and they've been doing well, and they've been noticed.
all right, is that for?
Yeah, that was all the performance measures. Yeah. All right, you want to go back to EMA since they've been waiting, or do you want to?
Easily. I just have them all up there because I think
Okay.
these are
We can bring them all up.
it's crossover, total crossover into different departments.
Oh, I did have some stats, so I'm going to give them all to you.
Chief, you got some visitors here?
Yes, sir, we do. We do. I'll come up so it's live. Okay.
Yeah, please.
So I invited our 14 newest fire rescue recruits. They were upstairs on the 3rd floor doing some computer training, and I invited them down to sit in on this meeting and so they can see Glenn County government at work.
All right, nice. All right, welcome aboard. I saw them the other day, so look pretty good. We're happy to have you. Congratulations again. Yeah, well. All right, Michael, what do we got? And so again, looking at these, looks like we're all on track as far as for goal 2. So we don't have to dive deep into each one of them. I would like you to talk about some of these that are on track. We got a couple that are achieved, but we want to see at this point maybe some of these that are achieved, they turn into kind of business as usual and not necessarily a new initiative. Some may roll over into our next strategic plan. There might be some areas that we make some changes to these slightly, but I'd like to talk through these and let's, in addition to the 2 and 3 there, that are achieved. Let's talk about maybe some of the other ones that we can start to close out if we're good.
Yeah, so, well, the 2 and 3 that you mentioned that achieved, I mean, we developed retention incentives, we know that. Developed incentives for recruiting and retention, but I think the one that we lose sight of is our advertising. That has helped us pay off, and that's why we're seeing these numbers where we're at so far already this year, including that we've been using Facebook in a more strategic manner. And Long's been helping us with that, with targeting our messaging. We can send it out to different locations through Facebook and social media, and that's been helpful.
All right, yeah, and again, we those 234, however many applications you have, typically your hires, at least on the PD side, aren't necessarily people from other departments here. It's for people that are coming in from the outside or new to law enforcement, correct?
Correct, absolutely.
And so, just on the recruiting side, I know you stepped up your efforts at Fort Stewart.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had quite a few coming through Fort Stewart and been recommended by commanding officers from supervisors that work with them. We have one of their sergeants recommended 2 officers to us, I believe, and it's been very helpful. And we'll continue that. And we can target our message. We can geofence it in different locations throughout the country that we're finding out. And these military installations, especially here in Georgia, I mean, Fort Stewart's one of the largest in the country, have been very helpful to us.
We got a retired Border Patrol agent, right? So
We do.
So we even have retirees that, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So it's the other way around, so we could pick away from Flitzy, so they'll pick it from us.
I know, it would be nice if we could do that too. One of the other ones maybe we can talk about we're on track with is the SEEK accreditation and certification standards. So we've just acquired, state certification through the state of Georgia, but we've transitioned that now into the CALEA accreditation. That's the national accreditation standard, which is a much higher standard to meet. It's about 183 actual areas we have to hit. And, with Kashayla, Captain Haggerty, and Brandon Gregory, we're on pace now. I think we could do that probably within a year from now is our goal. It's a tight goal, but I think we have the right people in place, and with what we've done with state certification, we should be able to do it close to that, if not a little bit after.
All right. Michael, let's just go through them real quick. So if you could, just pull it up, and then we'll see if we have any questions. If not, we'll skip it.
This one was to develop comprehensive public awareness, education, and preparedness plan for public safety.
All right, that's what
That's-
a lot of it's Andy. A lot of it's what Chief D. Cristofalo mentioned with the first and second graders.
Absolutely.
Your youth academy, other things. Okay. How about your efforts with Commissioner Booker? Has that have we had any?
We had some dates set and they were canceled, just availability with the pastors that he was working with, so I'll follow up.
Yeah, let's
with that.
re-engage that.
Yeah,
I will tell you, Chris, that they reached out again this week
okay.
to ask where we were with it, and I told him at our next meeting that we would, see where we are, where we're going, and if we needed to do more engagement there, but that I would bring it up for discussion.
Yeah, we absolutely can do that, and
Yeah,
we'll
I
reach
think-
out to them again.
So you had it was
We did have it scheduled, we had it scheduled twice, and it didn't materialize.
okay. Yeah, no, we'll
There
definitely.
was conflicts on their schedule, I believe.
Right. All right. So next one.
Develop a volunteer program for all public safety volunteer opportunities, and that's been challenging for us. I know I could speak for the police department. I mean, having our volunteers is challenging. They need to be supervised. I think the front runner in this by far has been Andy's team in EMA. We don't have what you'd say the volunteers that you have at the police and fire in that specific sense.
Not like Lori or Andy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But animal services and EMA by far are leading the pack in this, and they do a great job.
Yeah. What could we do for increased? I mean, is there areas where increased volunteer opportunities exist, either PD or fire?
I think for police, I'll just not to jump over before Chief Vinny, but
Yeah,
I mean, with all the issues going on St. Simon's Island with bikes and with scooters, maybe we elicit assistance of some of the bike, I guess groups that are out there. We could use them as volunteers. I think that could be helpful to get messaging out in certain areas, as well as better signage and just a better public safety platform to message it out. I think that's where volunteers can be helpful in that area. I'm not a big fan of police explorer programs, to be honest with you, right now. They take a lot of supervision, right hands-on every could we get there? I think when we reach our capacity, yeah, it would be a good feeder program then. But the same thing, I think we had the same issues with fire and all that.
Yeah, at one time, Glenn County Fire Rescue did have an Explorer program, and we were successful even hiring from that program. But as Chief Edner just said, it takes a lot of work and responsibility in trying to find that team to run that. I haven't identified those individuals yet, so that our Explorer program's on hold right now. But we are working on later this year to put together a Citizens Fire Academy, modeling some successful programs around the state, and I'll hope to do that. And then, I'll jump on how PD was successful this summer, and we'll look at doing a youth fire academy over the summertime also.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
That'd be great.
Yeah, you can target that age group too, because it's a little bit different. So 18-year-olds can apply, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I think we talked about recruitment pretty well. But
Yeah, I would
say fire's done a great job with that as well.
start to close that out, because I think that's, and then we can think about like the next generation, what we do next.
Yeah, we're moving there. I mean, after this year, I mean, I'm not saying exactly where we'll be, but we're definitely ahead of our 10% each year that we were shooting for, which I think was a good goal to have.
So I think since with that initiative, you establish a comprehensive recruiting plan, but we keep that plan going, and so we can take it off as an initiative if we have a plan in place that's going to live on past the strategic plan, which I think it will. All right.
Yes. Advance public safety initiatives and enhance resource support through public outreach. And I would venture to say we've all done that very well.
All right. Keep going.
And this is just overall develop performance measures, which I think is important because we all have to be able to measure what each of our departments and our personnel are doing, and that's the reason behind this. Strategic plans help us stay on course with that, and we have to refine them, like we talked about with Lori and some of her initiatives and performance measures. We need to do the same thing in ours and always keep evaluating them.
Yeah, they really have to be meaningful. You got to be careful on the external factors, and you got to be careful on just numbers.
Yeah, and when we're creating these, I mean, we're creating them with the best intentions, but sometimes we just are thinking too lofty, and it's really not sustainable.
Believe me, I'm doing this a long time with different agencies. It definitely changes. So we have some growing pains when coming up with performance measures that really are measuring what we want them to measure.
Yes.
All right.
Could I address 2.4.1? So in accreditation for the fire service, in October we'll be sending a team of 3 up to Henry County, Georgia, to attend the fire service accreditation manager class. And at that time, Fire Rescue will become a seeking agency with CEPSI, Center for Public Safety Excellence. And then the medical director and Chief Johnson with EMS are going to start pursuing EMS ambulance accreditation for us. Okay.
Is it similar to what police on the police? Is the certification and accreditation, are they different?
So I'm not aware of a certification in the state of Georgia like that for the fire service, but accreditation is meeting the national standards, and are your policies in place, and are you living your policies per the standards? So it's that whole process.
Yeah,
And like we did in 24 with the standard of cover and risk assessment, those are the foundational documents.
Okay.
So we've already completed that part.
All right, good.
Meet industry standards. I think you could probably talk to this one too, Chief Frank.
Oh
Yeah.
You want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so a big part of our performance measures and tying into industry standards, establishing what works here for Glenn County Fire Rescue. I think Chief would agree with all our agencies.
Yes.
In the fire service, we have the NFPA standards, and sometimes those are very lofty, especially when it gets to the staffing of units, and 6 people on an aerial apparatus and 4 on a fire truck, and building towards what we want here to serve our community. So we have to spend some time developing what standards we do want to meet. We've done very well with the design of the 2 new fire stations, the rebuild at the airport and Station 9, of meeting industry standards for health and wellness. So I think we're on the right track, and it's just bringing everybody on board with how we want to move forward for at least the fire side and EMS side of this.
And the one thing about us obtaining state certification is it gives us this blueprint that we have to follow to meet these industry standards that's set, and then it'll continue to build upon it when we go for the national accreditation.
Yeah, because I think the state certification is probably a little bit different, probably more towards industry standards. Accreditation typically is like Chief DeCristofalo said, it's really having your own policies and then showing proof that you're following them.
Yes.
How about EMA or animal services? I mean, there are industry standards that you guys have as well that.
No, we, like I said before, we've had Maddie's come in to
Yeah,
evaluate.
go ahead and speak into one of those if you don't mind.
We've had Maddie's through the University of Florida come in and evaluate the shelter, which they just, like they recommended we be open more hours, so we actually open an hour earlier than what we used to. But there is no like accreditation or anything like there is with police.
So we're meeting the state standards for our agency. There's not an accreditation program that the individuals going through. There is an international thing that we could start to seek that we're going to look into, but it's not like the CLE or something.
Well, I think your industry, we're talking more industry standards, so I think when you talked about your plans and your number of exercises and all those things, I think there are some industry standards that you guys are meeting, but I think you're above even what the industry standards are, which I think is the case across the board. So.
Yeah, so we'll seek anything that is, would add that accountability and accreditation as it comes.
Development of public safety department websites and applications, as we discussed earlier, to help with information sharing and mapping community for them. I think we've already talked about this. We're well on our way, and I think the county's going to be in a much better position once we get the overall website up and running. There will be some hiccups, but with any new technology, there always is. We're all looking forward to it. I wanted to thank everyone for their assistance in this. I know it's a lot of work.
Well, I like the one on complaints too, so that'll be that's a good technology to add. All right.
Yeah, and Kim's team, and
Yeah.
now that Michael jumped on board and Tanya, and then Fire Rescue assigned a direct point of contact to help them develop what we wanted. And I'm very impressed with what we've seen, especially to help with GIS with the interactive map showing the stations. But we also have a QR code linked to patient billing, so the patients can go right on the website and pay their bill on the website. So I think it's going to make everything more effective and efficient.
All right, 8 days, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Participation in community and neighborhood planning meetings represent the public safety community, and this is something that we all take pride in, all across the board, all of us out there for public safety, from animal services, EMA, and then fire, and of course police. So I think we're well on our way. And here it's a matter of, like you said, refining it. We always can do better with public messaging and getting out there to the public, and this is something that we all do in our own way. Many different things we've done. Everyone's volunteered when we've done the sand and the Grinch to get out there. It's just been a fun engagement, and Kelsey's a good Grinch, I'll add.
And I've got 14 new elves.
Yes.
All right, so I think that's it, right? So that wraps up where we are. So just going back to what we want to do. So each one of the initiatives, what we want to see is kind of a write-up of your accomplishments, and probably at least a paragraph. Because what we want to do at the end of the strategic plan is be able to publish, what we did. Because a big part of strategic planning, the commissioners have in their vision, mission statements, and then their goals, is to actually do what we said we were going to do. And so I think just by doing the QERs, we're showing the public that full transparency. But I think we have a lot of good accomplishments that we heard about today. So I just want to make sure that next year at this time we're not scrambling to write these up. Let's start writing them up now.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
I just want to say that you've got all your new people in the room, and it was a good idea on your part to ask them to each come up and speak for 2 minutes on what it means to be a Glen County. And, we got about, yeah, but thank you guys for coming on board. And
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
yeah, and remember to wear a smile. That's free. So.
Eddie, go ahead.
Very good, thank y'all.
I'm good, thank you.
Anybody else?
I just want to say thank you. I think we all take pride in public safety, and every day we're working to make it better. And it's just a great team we have here at Glenn County.
And you know, this number that you gave us today, Scott, really looks a lot better than it has in the past.
Yeah, I wanted to share that with you. I figured you'd like to see that.
Might want to share it with the public.
I had it, so I couldn't get it on there in time. Sorry.
All right.
Well, that's Lawton is Kelsey, Lisa does a great job on the public safety grants. And so, yep, got a bunch of teammates out there. So, nice job. Day one done.
All right.
More to go. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.